Introduction. Judaism is a way of life for the faithful Jew. Since there are so many traditions and teachings linked with it, its major goal is to build a right relationship between an individual and God. And the second is to form a suitable relationship between two or more individuals. The Torah's commandments, the prophetic vision, the book of Proverbs, and the lessons bestowed upon it, wisdom, righteousness, purity, and generosity of spirit are continual reminders of the Jews' relationship with God. Jewish ethic is founded on Judaism, foundational beliefs and teachings. These are found throughout Jewish literature, but not in systematic formula. As it's the concern of Jewish theology to collect the data scattered throughout this vast literature and conclude they form the underlying system of belief and thought. So it is the concern of the Jewish ethic to extract from Jewish life and the literature of Judaism the principle recognized as obligatory and actually regulating the conduct of Judaism's adherents as well as the ultimate aims apprehended by consciousness of the Jew as the ideal and business sets forth. Jewish ethic is concerned with both theoretical and practical issues of what Jews may and should do in the world. It's interfusing theology, philosophy, and law, the traditional trinity of Christian ethics, along with legend, history, science, and sociology, among other elements of human knowledge and experience. Some Jewish ethnics have used these approaches to grapple with issues such as the link between law and ethics, the role of non-Jewish influence and thinkers, and the relationship between science, medicine, and the revelation. Others argue with good and right views as well as religion and ethics. The Jewish ethics project of liberal modernity is an attempt to substitute something purely rational, universalizing, cross-culturally intelligible and respectable from highly particular, divinely revealed law to which pre-modern Jews gave their allegiance. Jewish ethics is, on this view, a kind of political statement, a polemic on behalf of a reconstructed, non-offensive Judaism. At least since the time of most modern Jewish modernists have decentered Jewish law and emphasized science as the silent category of Jewish representation of the insiders and outsiders.
My name is Syed Muhammad Alif Hakimi bin Syed Abdul Halim. My metric number is 1201958. Okay. For the meaning of ethical system, in philosophy, ethic is the study and assessment of human behavior in light of moral ideas. Moral principle can be considered as either a personal code of behavior or a set of obligations and responsibilities that a community imposes on its member. As humans have pondered the intents and implication of their action, ethics has evolved. Theories of conscience have emerged as a result of this reflection on the nature of human action, providing guidance to much ethical thinking. Conscience is the source of moral action in one situation and the product of moralizing in the other. Many concessions has been made between these two extremes. Judaism come to impose Jewish moral norm on others. Judaism is more minimalized than imperialized. Instead of supplying the world with a law book, it established the seven Noahide law, which declared that every culture must create a system of justice. Judaism takes a medium ground between moral relativism and moral absolution by limiting the number of globally absolute, absolute moral precept to a basic half dozen, and then requiring each culture to implement additional as they see appreciate. The nature of good, according to Immanuel Kant, tried to develop an ethical standard independent of religious issue in his categorical imperative. The ethic of rationalists were grounded on the metaphysics, the degree to which morality is authority is an issue that all different techniques of developing an ethical system rise. The state is ultimate arbitrator if the well-being of the state is the standard of morality, according to Hegel. The history of Judaism. Jewish believe that there is only one God with whom he has made a covenant or particular arrangement. Their God communicated with follower through prophet and both reward and punish good behavior. Most Jewish believe that their Messiah has not yet arrived, but will do so in the future. There are around 40 million Jewish in the globe today. They are mostly based in the United States and Israel. A person is deemed Jewish if his or her mother is Jewish, according to Jewish tradition. Jewish have been persecuted for the religious view through history. First, the Granada Massacre of 1066, a Muslim mob invaded the royal place in Granada on 30 December, killing around 1,000 Jewish households. Second, the Spanish Inquisition. In 1492, Spain rulers issued a royal edict ordering the expulsion of any Jewish who refused to convert to Christianity. Third, the Holocaust. The Nazis slaughtered almost 6 million Jewish during the Holocaust. Okay, for the birth of Israel, many Jews returned to their homeland to the Middle East region known as Palestine during and after the Holocaust and supported Zionism. Israel gained its independence from the British Empire in 1948. David Ben-Gurion, one of the most prominent proponents of the Jewish state, was appointed prime minister. This was viewed as a victory for the Jewish people who had campaigned relentlessly for an independent state in their homeland. Tension between Jews and Arabs residing in Palestine, on the other hand, have risen in the year following Israel's establishment and continue to this day. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Basit bin Madai and my matric number is 1201AAA. Inshallah, today I will talk about the factors of ethical system related to the Judaism. As we know that from the religion of the Prophet Abraham until now the Prophet Muhammad, or until now the philosophical religion, the relationship between ethics and religion is a must. Every religion in the world, especially the heavenly religion or the Agama Samawi, must have its ethical system because morality or kindness or ethics is one of the factors someone is attracted to religion. It is human nature. And for the Jewish people, it ethic based on the Old Testament, the Talmud, and the interpretation of the monk or the rabbis in the presenting ideas in the field of the ethics. Firstly, it is related to what was written in the Torah, the main Jewish sacred text. The Jews enter into a covenant with God, who established them as a God-chosen people, who requires the Jews abide by this covenant by adhering the moral directive, such as the Ten Commandments of the Torah. It could be inferred that morality was deemed one of the central components of Judaism. In the Torah said that, Simon just said, the word stand on three things: Torah, avodah, the divine service, and the act of loving kindness. Second, the factors that related to the Judaism ethics is based on the belief that they are the chosen people. At first, this doctrine give a good understanding. In other words, the chosen nation declared that they were the chosen people by God to carry out God's commandment on earth. In addition, the Jews also have an enormous moral responsibility to convey the teaching of goodness to all human beings. In the development of Judaism, this doctrine is mistakenly understood as an exclusive doctrine. The confusion lies in understanding that the Jews are God's chosen people to lead all mankind and rule the universe. Of course, over time, the doctrine changed into a theological legitimacy in the attitude and views of Jews toward the other races. We can see this from two perspectives, the positive and the negative. The negative aspect demands that the Jews to abandon disgusting idolatry, while the positive aspect is to hold fast to the belief and worship that God has revealed to them. The truth is considered the fundamental basis of Jewish and ethics. Other source is the writing of the rabbis, namely the Mishnah, Midrash, Talmud, and the Targum. ADIL in the scripture of rabbinic literature equally emphasize morality. It's just that rabbinic literature continue its emphasis on ethically constructed behavior. That is why the rabbis formulated the system of traditional content in the Mishnah and expanded it into the Talmud. The other one factors that are related to Judaism ethics is based on the Judaism views of the purpose of life, its relationship to its ethical action, and the source of Jewish ethic. It can be said that Judaism ethics is based on ethical consideration in every life, where man should continue to strive as best he can live according to God's will. And lastly, all religions in the world have ethics and moral based on the teaching, policies, and law found in the religion. Similar to Judaism, they also apply ethical and moral values directly to their followers according to the teaching. However, we believe that each religion will also teach and lead its people toward goodness with the application of ethic and moral based on the teaching of the religion. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AZMAN bin MOKSEN and my matrix number is 1201878. Alright, so next part is, do Judaism and ethics complement each other? Alright, so the ethics of Judaism is a norm or rule that applies to the Jewish community from ancient times to the present. So the purpose of Jewish life in Judaism is that they are obedient to God, and that obedience is based on the law. The teaching of ethics according to the Jews emphasize more on how human beings behave. So the ethics of Judaism has two main sources. The first one is the Holy Book, and the second is the Prophet's writing. Right. So the next is in Judaism there are 10 commandments, 10 commandments of God, of which 6 are the main basis of their ethics and morals, and they were: the first one, respect both parents; number 2, do not kill; number 3, do not commit adultery; number 4, do not seek; number 5, do not slander; and the last one, number 6, do not be jealous of others. Based on Judaism's view of the purpose of life, its relationship to ethical actions, and the source of Jewish ethics, it can be said that Judaism ethics is ethics based on ethical considerations in every life, where men must continue to strive to live according to God's wills. current issues related to ethics and morals can be solved through the emphasis on ethics and morals of Judaism. Judaism that emphasizes the formation of pure values in its techniques, in its teachings, will be able to strengthen the ethical and moral aspects in themselves. So the strong ethics and morals and intact in oneself will not be inclined to engage in moral and ethical violations. Ethics and morals in Judaism also show their loyalty to their God. So this will directly prevent them from committing problems that violate ethics and morals, because they fear and bear sin when violating the laws set by their God. In this case, the current issues related to ethics and morals can be resolved when they do not violate the law and each to their religious teachings and belief. In conclusion, all religions in the world have ethics and morals based on the teachings, policies, and the laws found in their religion. Similarly with Judaism, they also apply ethical and moral values directly to its followers. It's according to the teachings and beliefs in their religion. Although each religion has different beliefs and teachings, we believe that each religion will also teach and lead us, or their people, towards goodness with the application of ethics and morals based on the teachings of the religion. So the ethics and morals that are in a person are very important and useful for him to avoid falling into problems and issues that violate or related to ethics and morals. So it can be concluded that Judaism and ethics complement each other.
Ways to promote ethical practices in religion. Seen from the aspect of religion itself, almost all religions play a role in making a person have pure and positive values in themselves. According to Ahmad Bashir, religion plays a role in shaping the personality of the individual because most of the religious teaching in the world carry teachings that apply values, good ethics. The following are some of the discussion based on the existing religious teaching. First, Islam. Islam applies practices that teach its believers to perform all virtuous and good practices based on the Quran and Sunnah. Through it, Muslims are taught the noble values that emphasize three dimensions, namely faith, sharia, and morality. Through these three dimensions, the teaching of pure values are taught universally and form a pure personality in the believer. Next, Buddhism. The teaching of Buddhism, on the other hand, emphasizes that its believers should live with dignity and adhere to the perfect ethic of life to achieve nirvana, which can be achieved through their level of practice. Buddhists must pass the Four Noble Truths in order to achieve happiness in life by fulfilling the requirement in the Noble Eightfold Path through three moral groups, namely Panna, yani wisdom, Sila morals, and Samadhi, mental development. To succeed in all this, their daily practice must ensure that their moral foundation is able to cultivate and build harmony and well-being through the practice of Panchasila. This Panchasila is a prohibition that Buddhists need to follow to ensure that they are in the best condition of their lives. Next, Hinduism. Hindus, on the other hand, are more attached to belief that require them to live a moral life. They will be guided by two main concepts in their life, namely yamas, moral nature for self-practice, and niyamas, moral nature for the benefit of general society. Through these two concepts, Hindus will live their life with good qualities and abide by the prohibition that exists in the context of yamas and niyamas. Next, Christian religion. Christians, on the other hand, practice their poor value based on the Bible, which contains two pages, the Old Testament and the New Testament, as their basis. Through the two sheets, the Ten Commandments of the Old Testament and the practice of moral virtue from the New Testament become the basis for them of the virtue and prohibition in the practice of their life that Christians should follow. Next, the religion of Confucius. Believers of Confucius also have an ethical basis that needs to be practiced by them based on two contexts, namely the five virtues and five cardinal relationships. The five virtues emphasized are the virtues that must be present in a person, which include ren, human nature, li, norms of life, yi, doing something right, zi, wisdom, and sin, reliability. The five relationships are the five bases of human relationship that will always be connected by individual. So they should build good relationship, create love, and educate to respect each other. Based on the description of what the major religions teach to its followers, it is found that no single religion teaches in adherence to commit evil and corruption in this world. All the religions discussed teach that we as a human beings must practice good and poor practice in order to obtain the benefits promised based on their respective religions. There is no religions that tells a person to do evil and damage for the sake of his religion.
Next, I would like to explain about the analysis based on ethical system, analysis based on Judaism, and analysis based on ethical system of Judaism. Ethical system defined as the systematic exposition of the fundamental principle of human conduct and the obligations and duties derivable therefrom, often known as the science of morals or human duty. As a result, it also contains the presentation of the virtues and their polar opposites that characterize human behavior in proportion to the degree to which man is consecrated to the sense of obligation to fulfill the essential ideas of proper conduct. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with issues of morality. Theoretical ethics and applied ethics are the two levels of ethics. Business or organizational ethics is a type of applied ethics that deals with how an organization, executive, and employees act in the socio-economic setting and uphold the ethical standards demanded of them. Ethics also could be split into general or theoretical and particular or applied. The concept, goals, and ideas that govern, as well as the virtues that characterize, conduct the nature, origin, and development as it pertains and judge human activity are discussed in theoretical acts. Applied ethics lays a forth of a plan of action for dealing with the diverse aspects of human life and labor, as well as the rights and responsibilities that come with them. Next, analysis based on Jewish or Judaism. The foundational belief and teaching of Judaism form the foundation of Jewish ethics has contained this, though not in systematic formalization, as Jewish theology is concerned with gathering data scattered throughout this vast literature and deducing the underlying system of belief and thought. Jewish ethics is concerned with extracting from Jewish life and Judaism literature, as well as the ultimate aims apprehended by the consciousness of the Jews as the ideal and destiny set before him. The necessity of the use of both descriptive and dynamic approach, Jewish ethics demonstrate how a Jew has act, as well as he should act. In the context of his religion, ideas, and precept, Jewish ethics can be split into 5 categories. They are biblical, apocryphal, rabbinical, philosophical, and modern. Modern is the under the letter, the quadrant, or known as discordant, or relationship of Jewish ethics to ethical teaching drawn from various current philosophical systems that will be explored.
Despite the fact that ethics had evolved into a religious subject deserving of its own treatise, it shares some characteristics with other Jewish genres. Jewish practical ethics like halakha, midrash, and Jewish philosophy tolerated debate and contradiction. The use of quotation and interpretation of preceding writing was a major theoretical tool in medieval ethics. As will be seen, in modern Jewish ethics, this method is relating previous source to present concern and still prevalent. And lastly, analysis based on ethical system on Jewish or Judaism. These 11 key Jewish values are articulated in Who May Abide in Your House, provide a suggested framework for ethical decision making that known as first, emet or known as truth. Second, yosher, honesty. Next, acharayut, known as individual accountability. 4. Mishpat, or known as observance of the law. And covenant, they mean the reflect God by honoring their God. And 6. Emunah, or known as loyalty or faith. 7. Zedek, and or known as justice. And 8. Chase, that mean the compassion or their act commandment. And 9. Zebulun Elohim, or known as human dignity respect. 10. The is kehilah, taking responsibility for one action. And lastly is tikkun olam. As Jews, they are required to be honest in both their words and their economic dealings. That's all from me. Thank you.
So, the conclusion is Jewish ethics involve out of concern for both the community and the individual. The primary concern has been the Jewish people's survival. Each of these work appears to have the goal of preventing non-Jews from turning against Jews rather than treating them decently because they have intrinsic value. As a result, what most ethical theorists regard as essential, not stealing, not murdering, could be set aside under specific situations for the greater purpose of Jewish survival. Similarly, commandment the modern Jews would deem secondary, like a Sabbath observance, are sometimes of major significance since they are seen as necessary for Jewish existence. Thus, there are Jews in diaspora and in Israel who believe the Jewish survival is the most essential value, while others believe that the ethical side of existence is more important than survival itself. On the other hand, there are many Jews who are committed to Israel and Jewish philanthropy and have no question about their Jewishness. They educate their children with global education, rejecting Jewish instruction, but trying to keep ethical behavior as a devotion to Judaism. Many of their grandchildren are now being reared as Christian, which they finding perplexing. To conclude, the study of Jewish ethics is a significant analytic tool for exploring Jewish thinking, history, and literature across generations and better understanding the link between Jewish and other cultures. They are not only academic matters, they are at the center of many issues in deciding the goals of contemporary Jewish life, education, and identity. What is most Jewish about Jewish ethics is not an agreed absence of ideas, but rather a shared language and literature framework for dialogue. What is changed is that Jews no longer approach ethical debates with this common assumption based on the usage of Hebrew of rabbinic literature. The texts of rabbinic Judaism on which ethical discourse is found are neither simple, systematic, or immediately relevant to 20th century voluntarism. If anything, this writing was intended to be read by a community led by an intellectual elite. Some Jews want to build communities and recreate ancient leadership structure. Others most likely want to abandon even the most basic of towns and the least demanding of rabbis. Nonetheless, speaking about ethics, apart from books, communities, leaders, constellation, ritual, and religion is a fresh challenge for Jews, particularly secular Jews. One aspect of the current confirmed in the necessity for secular and liberal Jews to restore historic texts. Giving over their study and significance to other implies not just the loss of a valuable culture inheritance, but also control over the meaning and fate of Jewish life.